how, Natalia, when things are hitting the fan and maybe the day's not going so perfect, or this thing and that thing is pulling you in different directions, how do you have the ability to stay so calm? Welcome everyone to your Psychology Mastery mini training. Thank you for being here. My name is Natalia Rodriguez. I will be your certified high performance coach for the rest of this training. And so the purpose of mindset mastery, right? Psychology mastery and mastering your mind is that so we feel more in control. And mastering your mind is about the discipline of directing your mind. And so if you didn't know that you have control over this, you absolutely do. And so I wanted to share a few things with you today because I often get asked the question, how, Natalia, when things are hitting the fan and maybe the day's not going so perfect, or this thing and that thing is pulling you in different directions, how do you have the ability to stay so calm and so directed, right? How do you respond in certain ways where maybe someone else would be losing it? And so I know this is a habit that all of us want to develop, right? The habit of mastering our mind. And so I'm going to share with you 3 things today and skills that I've developed over time that I believe is what helps me master our mind. Number 1, I'm just going to jump right in. If you guys are okay with this, I hope you've got a pen and paper. You're writing this stuff down. That'll help you remember better. But let's start with number 1. And so there's 3 skills, right? And the first skill that we must develop for psychology mastery is resilience. And so I want to start off by defining what that is. And so the dictionary describes resilience and defines resilience as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. And I'd also add the ability to adapt, right? So it's the ability to adapt when things aren't going our way, when someone says something that, we don't appreciate. And so the ability to adapt to that. And the word that I love the most in this definition is capacity, the capacity to recover quickly. And so the capacity is the maximum amount something can contain, and it's the amount that something can also produce. So we'll notice that, right? When our mind isn't directed, we can't handle as much. So we don't have the capacity for that. The capacity, right? Mastering your psychology helps you produce more work, helps you become more productive. When you've got your mind right, you can just get things done. And so that's why this topic is so important today. So I'm going to give you 2 tips in resilience. This has helped me become more resilient to bounce back when things weren't going so well. And number 1 tip is strong, positive relationships. So I ask myself, when times are going wrong, like, who can I turn to? Is there someone that I can talk to? Is there a coach? Do I have a coach? Is there a mentor? Is there a friend? Is there someone else going through something similar? Someone, my husband, is there someone that I can lean on for a moment in time, right? So strong, positive relationships are absolutely crucial. Next, managing my energy is another way I am super resilient. So things like eating well, sleeping well, stretching, like making sure that my energy is well in my body, right? In my physical body, in mentally, right? That I'm mentally well and that I'm emotionally well. And so managing my energy on a daily basis is one of those skills and one of those habits that I have. And that'll help you bounce back and produce more capacity to handle more in your life. Number 2, skill to develop. And this one's a big one, compassion. And so what do I mean by that? The dictionary defines it as a sympathetic consciousness, right? A consciousness of others' distress and then the need to alleviate that stress. And here's Natalia's definition of that. And write this down. So for me, compassion is, and yes, these are all things that help master your mind and master your psychology. So developing more compassion. And here's my definition. It's understanding what I need and giving that to myself. That helps me bounce back sooner. That helps me keep my mind well. So for instance, let's say I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, right? Because these are the moments in which we want to master our mind. So let's say in a moment I feel overwhelmed or feel tired, or you feel tired, right? Understanding that, like having some compassion for yourself, like understanding what it is you need in that moment, and then actually giving it to yourself. Right? So not continuing to work, not continuing to do those things that are feeling overwhelming, but actually creating some space for you and giving yourself a nap or some food, right? Things like that. So this is all about, and yes, this helps you master your mind. Number 3 in mastering our mind, appreciation. So here's what I shared today on a podcast that I was on. I let these women know, right? Because I was talking to moms, to special needs moms. I let them know, here's what you need to say to yourself. I'm doing enough already, right? And listing those things out. What is it that you're doing already to move yourself forward? And so all these are skills, right? So I'm going to recap. So resilience, compassion, appreciation. So these are all skills, all of these. And my mentor had taught me once that everything is a skill. Whether you realize that or not, these are skills that must be developed. And that is how you develop the habit of mastering your mind. And so when you practice a skill long enough, that skill starts to become a habit. And so I find it so funny sometimes because people have often said to me, Natalia, like you have so much patience. How do you do it? And my first thought usually is, I don't have patience. And so what do I mean by that? So we don't have anything. I don't have health. I don't have patience. And so in order to develop a skill, we must be practicing it. So I don't have patience. I actually practice patience. And that's a daily habit, right? That's a consciously psychological directed intention that I have is I would like to be patient. Here is how I respond, right? And I direct my mind in that direction to practice patience. And so I wanted to share something with you. So I don't know how you're feeling today or why you know, decided to watch this training. But here is sometimes this is a rubber band, right? And sometimes we can feel like this rubber band, right? Small, skinny, and there's only so much resilience, so much mastery we have over this kind of mind, over this small, flimsier mind. But often, a lot of us, this is where we start, right? Or sometimes we regress, and here's where we are right now. But I wanted to show you, like, you can go from this rubber band to this rubber band, right? By developing some skills like the ones that I'm teaching you today. And that is really what psychology mastery is all about, mastering your mind, right? Is we want to work on getting a more resilient mind, a more compassionate mind, right? A more appreciative mind. And so the more that we develop skills, the thicker we get. The more that we go through stuff, even if that's not what you want to hear, I mean, if you direct your mind well through those times, you only get more resilient, you only develop more skills and get stronger. And so it is a process. I want you to understand that. Developing and mastering your mind is a process. It's a practice. It's a daily habit. And we can all become, right, the thicker, stronger, more resilient. This rubber band has more capacity to hold something, right? Like this can hold more. It can hold more together than this rubber band. And so you have to ask yourself, you know, which rubber band would I like to be? And in order, of course, we all want to be this one, right? In order to have more capacity in our life, to do more work, to become more productive, to feel more energetic, to have more courage in our life, we must practice the habit of mastering our mind, develop our skills, become that bigger rubber band that can handle more. I want to leave you with an activity to do today. The question that I have for you is, in what ways are you directing your mind well? So right now, there's a way, even if you can't see it, there's a way that you are directing your mind. You are doing a good job at directing your mind on some things. And on the flip side of that, we can all get better, right? Even myself, all of us can get better at mastering our mind. Yes, it changes day to day, depending on our energy levels, that kind of thing. But how could you get better, right? So write that down on a piece of paper. It will serve you. How am I doing a good job with psychology mastery right now? And then how could I get better? What are different ways? Do you need to practice more compassion with yourself? Is that something that you need to practice? Do you need to practice more appreciation for yourself or the people or the things around you? Because maybe you're not directing your mind well. And I love the question, if there's one thing you walk out of here today, I love the question in directing your mind on a regular basis is, how can I see this differently? So if you find yourself in a spiral, spiraling downward, think of how you can see it differently. Because there is a blessing in the stressing. There's a blessing somewhere and you can find it. Learn to direct your mind. You can do a whole lot of things. All right, guys. Thanks for being here on this training. We will talk soon. Bye.